Conspit sent this base for review, but that ship has sailed, so Teardown?
Why? Why can't you make a review like a normal person?
Uh, it's a good thing. This is Ares Platinum, Conspit's flagship wheelbase generously sent over for dissection through a distributor called RaceSims. Check them out by using the link in the description box and get yourself a discount using my code NAPMAN. Keeping the shameless plug aside, usual disclaimer first. Do not attempt to replicate this will void your warranty. Now, I don't have an engineering degree, but what I do have is curiosity, a screwdriver, and a very bad habit of opening things I probably shouldn't. I need Allen keys for this. Starting with the exterior, it has a power button up front and a magnetic cover to hide the pogo pin interface. Nice. The front cover is made out of aluminium and so is the motor enclosure. The same cannot be said for the back as it is, plastic. You get 5 Type-C ports to connect peripherals, power connector, emergency stop, and a Type-C to connect it to the computer. There are vents in the back suggesting a possibility of a fan, but we'll get to that in a moment. The shape reminds me of Godskin Noble, slim on the top and a bit fat on the bottom. The shape could mean that the wires are running through a hole on this side as the power button is here. Another wire could be running from either direction to power up the pogo pin module. With the observations complete, let's open this baby up. Removing the 4 screws does not let the back panel out. Seems like something is restricting it. And like I mentioned moments ago, that this shape and thickness on the bottom could mean wires are running through a hole. That's exactly what it is. Usually when this happens, the wires in the front are often tied together to prevent any movement. And as I suspected, there is a cable tie holding all of the wires together. See? Now I need to get rid of the zip tie so I could move the wires a little bit and push them to give the back panel a little bit of breathing room. This way I would be able to remove the wires and get the PCB out. Yeah, there you go. See? Now it's working. Right, so it begins. But you see, it still does not give me enough room. Now I could have removed the power connector and pogo pin module wire up front, but it was glued and I didn't feel like messing with it. There's a lot of Molex connectors here and a few different stuff. I'll explain what all the wires are in a bit. Look here, these are, just a sec. Yeah, these are crimped spade connectors, and what you want is as solid of a connection as possible. There should be little to, okay, let's keep you here. There should be little to no movement in these. Any sort of movement equates to a poor job. Now the firmness is important because these seem to be phase wires, and the key to remove them is quite simple really. Okay. Alright, focus please. Come on, there we go. You just push down on the little tab here and pull the cable out gently. See? Super easy. Let me disconnect these other wires as well. And while I do this, tell me, should I be doing more of these? Because I find them incredibly fun. Opening things up and letting my eyes feast on the engineering inside is dangerously addictive. Like a dopamine shot straight to the brain. That factory fresh smell when something is opened for the first time. That's the stuff. I can't be the only one, right? Anyways, I try not to break stuff, but sometimes accidents happen. I then try to fix it because anything which gets broken, dented, or scraped gives it a bit of a character. Know what I mean? And then it truly feels mine because, well, the proof is there. This last wire is giving me a headache. Come on. There we go. Let's keep the motor aside for now. So this right here is our circuit board. Vents definitely. The quality of plastic is good, and I've seen a lot of plastic components. It certainly looks and feels better than most of the stuff. If you're wondering why the PCB is so shiny, it's coated with conformal coating. It's a solution sprayed over PCBs to protect them from dust, moisture, thermal shock, and a few other factors. Now let's take it out of its shell so I can see if it really has a fan on the back. Though I have tried to take a peek and could not see anything, which made me even more curious. What's the point of vents when there are no fans, you know? Moment of truth. Okay, interesting. So they have attached an aluminium piece for passive cooling. There's a thermal pad. Just a sec. Yeah, you see here, there's a thermal pad sandwiched between the block and the PCB. See? It acts as a passive heatsink. Now what is it that they are trying to cool? By the looks of it, it seems like they are keeping the MOSFETs cool. On the front, we have, well, lots of stuff. Where to begin? Let's start with these. These are phase output for the motor driver. Since this is a 3-phase motor, the phases are U, W, and V. Each phase needs 2 MOSFETs, one to connect it to power and one to connect it to ground. Now I'm absolutely sure that they are indeed cooling the MOSFETs. The reason why each phase needs 2 MOSFETs is because the motor controller needs to control the flow of the current and the direction which is required to drive the motor properly. Let's bring the motor here. Okay. The color of wires usually means something in AC mains wiring, but there's no strict color code for BLDC or 3-phase motor. It's chosen randomly and they are connected here. So the wires carry not just power but 3 separate pulses of electricity. They don't all send the power at once. Instead, wire U sends its wave first, then W follows a moment later, then wire V comes after that. This delay is deliberate. It creates a spinning magnetic field inside the motor, and that's what makes the motor turn. The delay between each is exactly 1/3 of a full circle, or 120 degrees apart if you think of a circle. Think of it like a drum beat. Just a sec. Yeah, think of it like a drum beat. This this is ba, this is dum, and this is ts. Together, it sounds like badum ts. Sounds nice, right? But if they all go at once, it'll sound like. Same with this. Staggered power gives it smoother and controlled rotation. Next up, we have these 5 green capacitors. They are called electrolytic capacitors and are located right next to this connector, which is used for brake resistor. This right here is your brake resistor. What happens is, let's say you're catching or correcting an oversteer. The motor requires serious amounts of torque, but the moment you countersteer or let go, all of that energy does not magically disappears. It flows back into the system. These capacitors catch that power surge first. Think of them as your first line of defense. They help keep the voltage stable and prevent controller reset. But if the surge is too much, the system routes the extra through that connector to the brake resistor, where it gets burned off as heat, which is why it has little fins for passive cooling. What else? What else? The standard stuff. Okay. Let's move on to the motor and start with the wires. These are. I forgot to pull the sleeves back. Just give me a sec. Right. So these three are phase connectors, and then we have another set of black wires coming out of the motor, which I'm not entirely sure what they are. They are labeled U, this will be V, and this is W. Now, if I'm not wrong, they seem like signal wires. Keeping that aside, this looks like ground and is labeled PE. Then this wire is for your encoder. There's also this set where this wire is coming out of the motor and another one from the brake resistor. Then we have these three, and this one I'm guessing is for a slip ring. Yeah, this is for the slip ring. Then you have one wire for your power button and another for the pogo pin. With the wiring explained, let's take out the motor itself. And before that, I think I may need to remove the QR assembly. Okay, let's start by undoing these bolts and hopefully it will slide out. And out it comes. Now I can keep it aside, but like I mentioned earlier, I have a very bad habit of opening things I probably shouldn't. And since we are already here, I might as well check it out. Right, so this is a two-parter, and this thing sits in the bottom half of the shaft, and this other half has a protrusion which fits in the shaft's cutout. And with both of them in place, you bolt these two pieces together and it holds onto the shaft. Then you have the conductive slip ring, and I'll tell you all about it. Just let me remove it quickly. So the conductive slip ring is what lets the steering wheel spin freely without ripping any wires. See? When you turn the wheel left or right, you're rotating the whole front assembly while all of the button pushing, upshifting, downshifting is happening. The slip ring itself sits in one place, but the spinning joint is what lets the signal pass through. It's essentially a data transmitter. Now these bolts stand in the way of our motor. Well, technically the plate does too, but you get the point. It's a very snug fit and requires a little bit of work to remove it. There we go. These are your copper windings which stay fixed in one place and are responsible for creating the rotating magnetic field. These are magnets on the rotor. This is your shaft and this bit comes out. The copper windings stay put, everything on the inside comes out. Now, my curiosity knows no bounds and I am aware that the rotor needs to be extracted using a tool, but here I tried to open it up either way. And let's fast forward this bit because all of it was a huge waste of time. Let me summarize what I did. I tried to open it from the back. I could not. The magnetic force was too strong. At one point, I almost bought a rotor extractor, but the prices were absurd and I was like, you know what, I think I'll skip that bit. Originally, I set out to explain how a wheelbase works, but somewhere along the way, my curiosity took over and it became, hey, you know what, why don't I look on the inside as I already like what I felt? And the insides impressed me. Some of the stuff really stood out to me. Number one, passive cooling done right. They could have installed a fan here but chose not to. There are vents in the back so that the internals can breathe. But breathing room means dust, moisture, and other environmental factors can reach it. That's where the conformal coating comes in. Number 2. Opting for a PMSM motor. They could have gone for a BLDC and saved a little bit of money, but they didn't. Performance over everything. Number 3. Firmness in connectors and the whole PCB. The moment I saw spade connectors, I was prepared to expect mediocre work, and believe me, I've seen quite a bit of it. But they were very solid. It's small stuff like this which tells you that the people who built it know what they were doing. Now I know I haven't explained how it works, so here it is. Electricity goes in, magnetic field is created, rotor gets pulled, encoder talks to the controller. Together they figure out where the rotor is, where it should be, and where it is going next. That's it. Right, so I didn't need to open it up to tell you it's working. I could have probably summarized it in less than 15 seconds, but I'm constantly finding reasons to open things up, and sometimes when I don't find it, I do it for fun. This was one of those times. Now, all that remains is to put it back together and hope it works. If it does not, you don't know me, this video never happened, Conspit never sent me a base. but if it works, like, comment, subscribe.
Okay, is it working?
Huh?
Is it working?
Yeah, actually, it's working just fine. No noticeable notchiness, no nothing. Everything works factory fresh. I've been testing it. I don't think there is anything wrong. What did you expect?
I thought you messed up.
Yeah, I thought so too. Glad I did not.